breaking news for your home. Wayday! Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home. Like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Good morning, League fans. My name is Steve Mascott. It is Thursday, April 9, and we just have an NRL game kicking off at the moment. It's eagerly anticipated one. It's the Bulldogs taking on the unbeaten Penrith Panthers. So over the course of the next hour, we're going to keep you up to date with how that game is progressing, and we're also going to preview the Challenge Cup matches this weekend. We're going to hear from, I think, about 5 coaches ahead of the Challenge Cup matches this weekend. The first of them is tomorrow night at St Helens, taking on Catalans, and then a couple of games the next day, and winding up with Wigan visiting Whitfield on Sunday. And we'll actually have full commentary of the 2 Saturday games, which is Hull KR and York, and then a rematch of last week's game at the same venue, Warrington at home to Lee. So thank you. This is where it all begins for the weekend on rugbyleague.com, where too much league isn't enough. We'll take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Good Morning League fans, and let's have a look at the first of these Challenge Cup quarterfinals, and it is St Helens at what is now the Brewdog Stadium, I think, at home to Catalans Dragons. It's a 8 p.m. kickoff on Friday night local time. Referee is Aaron Moore, and the video referee is Chris Kendall, who was very busy in one of our broadcast matches last weekend. I made the comment, I think he was called upon to adjudicate on the hot dog prices in that match between Catalans and Toulouse Olympique. Let's have a look at some stats around this game. The previous Challenge Cup meetings, they played in the quarterfinals in 2022. That's the most recent one, and it was a 36-20 win to St Helens away to Catalans. So in the last time they've met in all games, that was this year, and St Helens had a very comfortable 36-4 win away. So everything kind of points to a St Helens victory in this game, but Catalans were pretty good last week in that derby. So after the break, you'll hear from Saints coach Paul Rowley on this first quarterfinal of the Challenge Cup.
No, exactly that. And I think, again, as I alluded to before, the challenge is to bring the same intensity, emotion as we did last week. Obviously, last week's really easy, and I think that goes across the board. So for the club as well, and for the supporters and for ourselves, I think, as I've said a few times, we're connected from top to bottom. So I think we all need to cover that burden, so to speak, and that responsibility to bring some life to the stadium, and in games that are historically not as lively in terms of atmosphere because of the obvious reasons, Catalan bringing no supporters across. But in terms of their ability, the best version of Catalan is a very dangerous one, and so we need to be proactive and make sure our standards are on form. And if we do that and worry about what we're going to bring to the party, then we feel that we'll be okay. I think the challenges are right across the park. They've got some fantastic players. I think their outside backs in particular, none more so than Staines, and then you've got Sexton and Dodd in the half. So they've got a spine. Throw in Cruz Leeming as well. I think they've got a fantastic spine, and they've got a lot of soldiers who'll go where they say and do what they want. So across the park, I think they're dangerous, and the less chaos we can allow, the better.
And the second quarter final of the Challenge Cup this weekend, and Mick Gledhill will be there to call it for us on rugbyleague.com with Too Much League Isn't Enough is Hull KR up against York. And Marcus Griffiths is the referee there. The video referee is Liam Moore. Kickoff 1:30 local time, as I said. What can we have a look at stats-wise in this game? Hull KR have won their last 31 home meetings with York, and York's last away victory against Hull KR was in 1958. Would you believe? 1958, the last time they won away. But Mark Applegarth, in his midweek press conference, he talked about the fact that, well, there's one really big win, wasn't it? It was York 19, Hull KR 18 in the very first game of this season in Super League on the 12th of February. And the impact of that result, that is something that Mark Applegarth was obviously asked about. And after this little ad break, you'll hear from Mark Applegarth.
Yeah, listen, we'll be going, it's Cup Rugby, it's whoever nails that 80 minutes, isn't it? So we'll be, as I've said all along this year, we'll be going in with everything we've got. As I say, we're not idiots. We know that OKR will want to avenge that round one defeat. We know that they'll have their own aspirations, but so have we. So we're looking forward to locking arms with them again. I think it'll be an absolutely fantastic atmosphere. As I've said, it's a passionate set of fans, and so have ours. And I can't wait just to go there on Saturday and get back into it, if I'm honest with you. And just listen, we're confident in ourselves if we put our best foot forward every week, just as any team worth the salt's going to say that to you too. And we're focusing on ourselves and just where our standard needs to be as a group. We wasn't happy with what we served up last week, and we want to rectify that first and foremost, so that we can look each other in the eye and look each other in the mirror, knowing that we've given it everything we've got. Now, if we do that, and we've got 17 blokes that are going out on the field and being the hardest working team on the field, sticking together, working together, executing our plan, it'll put us in a good spot. And OKR will be saying exactly the same. So, as I said, it's a good different flavour to the league, as in anything can happen within 80 minutes, the old cliche, and we're just looking at going out there and nailing our moments over the 80 minutes. And massive respect for OKR, massive respect for them as a team. We know they've got some of the best players in the league, but I also think that we've got some absolute gems in our team as well. And I know that lads such as Paul McShane, Josh Griffin, Paul Vaughan, Jesse D, they can't wait to lock arms and go at them again.
And let's move on to our third Challenge Cup quarter-final here in British Rugby League. We will be looking at the NRL game between the Bulldogs and Penrith at the back end of the program. But let's have a look at Warrington at home to Lee, and they played only last weekend. It's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff on Saturday at the Halliwell-Jones Stadium. The referee is Jack Smith, and the video referee is Tom Grant. And, as I said, as far as the form line is concerned, you don't have to look too far. You just look back to last weekend at the same venue, and it was Warrington 42, Lee 6. Warrington 42, Lee 6. And in the Challenge Cup, they also met in a semi-final last year at the Totally Wicked Stadium, which is now the Brewdog Stadium. And it was a win to Warrington, 21-14 in the Challenge Cup just last year. So after the break, moving right along, hopefully everything's slotting in the right spot and playing when it should. We're going to hear from the coach of the Lee Leopards, Adrian Lamb.
Yeah, every week's a good opportunity to kickstart the season. It's a different competition this week, and one that we've had a bit of joy in and romance with over the last couple of years, and obviously winning it at Wembley in 23, certainly a highlight of all of our careers really, and the club and fans. So we want to get in that position again, and fortunate enough, we're one of 8 clubs that are still remaining in the Challenge Cup. So whilst there's a heartbeat, there's hope, and I feel obviously very disappointed with the way we played last week, and hopefully there's a better response to that. But I think we can control a lot of our actions that we did or didn't do last Saturday, so we get an opportunity to try and turn that around. Yeah, I'd say they've got one or two players coming back themselves. I think Taylor Ray might play at fullback there. Tanganoa has a chance of coming back in, and so on, which strengthens their side. So, I think they're playing pretty good rugby at the moment. They'll go into the game, very confident as red hot favourites, and so they should be. They're playing some good rugby. Yeah, we've experienced that every year. Every player experiences that, but we want to stay involved with it. It's something that we've like I said, we enjoyed the experience a couple of years ago, and there's no reason why we can't do that again. We certainly need a better performance and a better effort this week, and hopefully we get that.
Wrapping up the weekend in the Challenge Cup, it is a big tie at the DIY Kitchen Stadium. Should bring in a bumper crowd for them as well. It's Wakefield at home to Wigan, and it's a 3 o'clock kickoff on Sunday local time. No, it isn't. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday local time, and the referee is Liam Moore. The video referee is Jack Smith, and Wigan have got to be favourites in this game. Jay Field, he scored tries in the Warriors' last 3 meetings with Wakefield. There you go. Scored 3 in a row. Going for 4. And last time they met was last year. So they haven't played yet this year. And it was a 44-2 win to Wigan over Wakefield. And in the Challenge Cup meeting, the Challenge Cup meetings, they have not played since 2022. At this stage of the competition, they met, same venue, and it was a 36-6 win, Wigan over Wakefield. Max Jowett, he needs 6 points to reach 1,000. So that's something to keep an eye on. Tom Johnston, he needs 2 tries to reach 150 in his career. Liam Farrell needs 1 to reach 150 as well. Adam Kieran needs 4 points to reach 500 for Wigan. That's super impressive, isn't it? And there you go. So there's some milestones. And we shall press on, and we'll look at this morning's NRL game. It is the Penny Panthers visiting the Bulldogs. Huge game kicking off in the NRL, and I was kind of thinking, I should keep things indistinct time-wise, because, you could be watching anywhere, but then again, the show is called Good Morning League Fans, isn't it? So whoever's listening to this, it's the morning. And this game is kicking off at 10 minutes to 11 UK time. So in the first hour after this show ends, it is the Bulldogs at home to the Panthers. And the Panthers, of course, are top of the table, undefeated, 10 competition points. And the Bulldogs, who were hotly tipped this year, they're not going too badly. They are on 6 competition points with 2 wins, 2 losses, and a bye. And let's go through these teams. And I can tell you for the Bulldogs, Harry Hayes, Jake Turpin, and Jethro Rinakama are in. Stephen Crichton with a shoulder injury, of course, is out. And also who played last week is Logan Spinks. He's out as well. So it's Connor Tracy, Jacob Kiraz, Anari Tuala, Bronson Zeri, Marcelo Montoya, Matt Burton, Lockie Galvin, Max King, Bailey Hayward, Sam Hughes, Viliami Kickow, Jacob Preston, and Jamin Salmon. And the listed interchanges are Kurt Mann, Satili Tupanua, Harry Hayes, Sean O'Sullivan, Jake Turpin, Lipoi Hipoi, and as I said, Jethro Rinakama. Now in for the Pennies, Mitch Kenny and Sione Fonua, and out is Billy Scott. Mitch Kenny's a good in for them, of course. So from fullback, Dylan Edwards, Thomas Jenkins, Paul Alamotti, Casey McLean, Brian To'o, Blaze Talangi, Nathan Cleary, captain, of course, in his 200th game, Moses Leota, Mitch Kenny, Lindsay Smith, Isaiah Papali'i, Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo, Jack Cogger, Billy Phillips, Scott Sorensen, Luke Garner, Isaac Tungo, Freddie Lussick and Sione Fonua. And our referee out there at Homebush is Jerry Sutton. And the video referee is Liam Kennedy. Now, after the break, we're going to start with the coach of the Bulldogs, Cameron Ciraldo. And he's talking about Bronson Xerri. Now, Bronson Xerri had a hissy fit when he was dropped last time. And now, through the injury to Stephen Crichton, he gets his chance. So that's a good topic to hear from Cameron Ciraldo about. And then after that, we're going to hear from Ivan Cleary, the coach of the Pennies, talking about his son and captain, Nathan, who's having his 200th first grade appearance tonight. So there you go. Should be interesting, and I'll be back to say goodbye to you after all that.
Yeah, he's excited. He found out pretty quickly after the game that he'd get an opportunity, and he was really excited and has trained really well all week. And this is what we spoke to him about a couple of weeks ago, was waiting for this opportunity, and it's probably come a little earlier than expected, but he'll be ready. Just his energy and his intent in training. So if he can take that out on the field and bring the best version of himself, then he's going to do a really good job. I'm not sure, you'd have to ask him. I'd be speculating, but he knows what his best is, and I'm sure he's ready to bring that. Just the way he's ripped into his training, which is what we know he's capable of, and yeah, that's all he can control. I will say he's not the first person to have a poor response and go home and say something. He's just ended up in the paper, which was the disappointing thing. But he has handled himself impeccably since that point. I hope so. I really hope so. And yeah, the way he's training, the way he's preparing, and the way he's committing himself right now, that's the signs we're looking for. Don't need to think too far ahead right now. Like he's excited about the opportunity he's got tomorrow night. He's putting all his eggs in the preparation basket, and he'll be ready to rip in tomorrow night. 100%. He loves the players. Some of his best mates are in that team, and he loves playing with them. And he's had a bit of a rocky patch there, which many players go through. But as I said, his reaction in the last few weeks has been tremendous.
It's been obviously very, very proud of him as his dad, also as his coach as well for a lot of those games. So yeah, just feel lucky to have been able to share a fair chunk of that journey with him, and looking forward to the future as well. It's awesome. I guess it's times like this where you do reflect a little bit, because they don't really do it that often. But just, it's not just about the player himself, but as you mentioned, I think he's doing a lot of good things off the field as well, and just the way he carries himself. And a lot of kids look up to him, and I know he takes that responsibility very seriously. Lots. He's always sort of led by his actions, I think, but he's sort of his voice and understanding of the game, has grown along the way. So I think he and Yowie have had a really good combination and partnership there. So the good thing is there's more to come in the future. So that's exciting. Yeah, I think he's definitely he's obviously playing really well at the moment, but he's made some adjustments, or not so much adjustments. He's definitely pushing things a little harder this year, and that's been deliberate. And I guess that's part of the growth of any playmaker. Whether over time the game slows down a bit, they understand it a bit better. It's definitely been the case for him. But he's also worked super hard, and this off season in particular, I reckon he's probably come back fitter than ever, and just as hungry as ever as well. So that's a good starting point.
Is that a great mindset?
Well, that's it. I hope we gave you plenty of meat between... we couldn't have it last Friday, so a bit more this week. And just reminding you what's coming up on the station over the weekend. At 1 p.m. this afternoon, we've got Super League 360. At 3 p.m, we've got 40-20 live. Overnight, we've got Only in Rugby League and Rugby Reloaded. But more importantly, when I say more importantly, I mean, probably less predictably, because they're on every week, is our broadcast this weekend. So on Saturday, early afternoon, the Hull KR versus York Challenge Cup game. Mick Gledhill will be bringing you that. And then it'll be David Kane in the evening from Warrington. Warrington versus Lee And then when that game finishes, they'll be going to me straight away, and I'll be at London versus Sheffield. Plus score updates, etc., all over the weekend. If you are listening on the podcast, this show goes out live Thursdays and Fridays on rugbyleague.com. It's a rugby league radio station, rugbyleague.com. And if you're listening on the radio, you can hear it on demand by searching WLF Kicks on your favourite podcast provider. And the show is always available first to supporters, and that would be people who have gone to patreon.com/WhiteLineFever. Patreon.com/WhiteLineFever. Enjoy your weekend of rugby league, everybody.